This is Into the Hen House, a podcast for moms with littles. In this space, we share the stories, experiences, and wild wisdom of mothers. We remember and celebrate the sacred. We are your hosts, Andrea and
Caitlin.
Get ready for some inspiration because it's time to jump into the hen house. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am so excited about the guest that we have here today. This is Camille St. And she is a writer, a movement guide, a mom of two, living in Colorado. And she has created this fabulous new program that's going to be launching soon called Sacred Return. And she's going to talk more about that a little bit into the episode, but it has a lot to do with holding moms, not medicalizing things, holding them as they come back to center, as they find a new identity, as they go through the matrescence journey and the varying stages in those early postpartum months and year. So Camille, thank you so much for being here. I'm just so excited.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, why don't we just go ahead and jump right in? And so I think some of your program, it kind of was born a little bit out of some of your postpartum experience. Would you share a little bit about your experience?
Sure. I think probably to give context, I'd love to back up a little bit, and because I had two pregnancies back to back, and so I feel like I've had this just long postpartum / pregnancy phase. But my husband and I got married after dating for about 8 months. We had been friends for 10 years before that, so not a long dating period. We conceived that night. And
wow, okay.
Yeah. and then we had our son, our oldest son, who is now 21 months. And then at 3 months, I got pregnant again. And so much of my postpartum phase was also being pregnant. And then we had our baby girl, and she is now 9 months old. But that was a huge identity shift all at once, like from going single to married to all of a sudden having two babies. And I would say my first postpartum phase of 3 months with a little boy, I just had no idea what I was doing. It was like, what are we doing here? And then this second postpartum, I was much more grounded and, had a little bit of experience underneath me. But I had this lightning bolt during the second postpartum where it just felt like something was deeply missing as far as our healing and our recovery and our stepping into this new identity. And I couldn't find what I was looking for. And so I started using practices that I had built throughout my life from the last 10 years through movement, meditation, integration practices, from quitting drinking and getting sober. And I found a lot of the same practices that carried me through that identity shift have carried me through this identity shift. And I just felt like there was such a lack out there as far as holding mothers into this new identity, helping them integrate it. And I feel like we're very, very lost in our culture because of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would agree with you on that. We're very, very lost. We're very lost.
But yeah, I did 2 home births, and I had midwives, and and they were great, but the whole healing process still felt very cold and clinical. And it's like we go to our 6-week checkup and we're told we're like cleared for activity and sex. And then, I mean, there's not a lot there. It's just, and it's one of the biggest transformations we go through in our lives, one of the biggest spiritual shifts we go through in our lives. And we're given this like cold clinical kind of approach. And that's all, but I could really find out there. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you relate or,
So, so it's interesting that you mentioned even with having midwives, because I do feel like a lot of women, and I was one who kind of thought, if you have a midwife, the experience is going to be really, really different. So for me personally, I had a midwife through all of my prenatal care. Then I went into labor far too early, not like dangerously early. Like it's like she's going to be alive, most likely barring something very unusual, but right, like she's far enough along that, her survival's not really so much a question, but we're probably going to need a NICU. And so that just blew up my plans, like blew them up, like to smithereens.
yeah,
It was like, okay, we're going to the hospital. This was not what I wanted. And so my midwife actually abandoned me when things went off the rails and was like, I'm bored. I'm not going to be here, even though I said I was, and adios.
yeah.
I'm out of here. And so when it came to postpartum, I said, actually it's your contract. Cause then she was all of a sudden pushing so hard to come here for like the 6th-week appointment. And that was the only postpartum appointment. Otherwise she had been radio silent basically since I was in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And like not checking in, and just like she had disappeared. And I was like, this is weird. Like, what is it that she wants? Like, why now? And I looked at the contract. She wanted to get paid. Because if she came for one postpartum visit, then she could get the last $2,000. But otherwise, because she abandoned us prior to the date, we weren't required to pay her. So I just said, no, sorry. I don't want you to come. I'm going to find elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I ended up with a C-section, and I'm like, you can't really address an incision anyways, because that's a surgical issue. So I'm like, why would I have you come when I have to go see a ridiculous OB in a hospital I don't like anyways? And actually the person I ended up having was pretty nice as far as that went, but which was not anyone involved with the birth, thankfully, because I refused to see any of them. But finally we got someone to agree to see me postpartum, but it was very, it was like, the lady was nice enough, but she was very much protecting the hospital. And like, I came with like a laundry list of issues of like things where I'm like, yes, I want to know, is my incision okay? But also like I'm having like some pretty bizarre symptoms. Like I'm having severe fainting spells. I'm having like an excessive amount of dizziness. I can barely walk by myself still. And I actually went at 7 weeks. We're 7 weeks postpartum. I cannot feel when I have to pee.
Yeah.
Like I have zero sense of when I have to pee. Like someone has to tell me like, Andrea, it's been 4 hours. You need to go. Cause I had no idea. And all of this, she's like, oh, don't worry about it. Nothing to see here. Just off you go. And I actually ended up in the emergency room for a hemorrhage and a serious uterine infection the week after, like 6 days later. So I did not have a great postpartum. It was like very medical, very cold, and incompetent. But
I was also reading about C-sections and how like energetically it can be kind of jolting. And so there were some practices I was reading about in the 4th trimester book. Have you read that?
I haven't.
About it's a great resource, which I recommend to any mama listening. And there are some practices in there for like kind of closing the birth experience after like having something a little unexpected like
Yeah.
that happen.
Yeah.
So,
And birth can be unexpected in a lot of ways. And I
yeah.
think how providers show up for the birth and the postpartum can make a big difference too.
Yeah.
But while we're kind of in this, the birth of the mother, which can be very beautiful, it can be very abrupt. It
Yeah.
can be, it's transformational no matter how it happened. Can you talk about that? What does that mean to you?
So actually, yeah, this morning I was reading a study that the brain of the mother actually changes for life. Have you heard that
I
before?
have, yeah.
Yeah. Um, I didn't realize it was for life. But like everything on the inside is being rearranged, and we give birth in this modern day, and no one sees all that rearranging that's going on the inside, and that is the birth of the new mother, and there's no integration practices to help us step into that new identity. And I think that's why a lot of us have postpartum anxiety or postpartum depression. There's no community to witness that or support that. There's not a lot of kind of integration practices out there to get into your new body and into your new mind and like know how to like fully step into that. And I think also there's a lack of honoring that new mother is born. That's why I was talking to you about it before you started recording, but we were talking about I held a live event, and it was a ceremony for new mamas, and it was designed to help them step into their bodies and like feel good in their bodies again. And I think there's like a huge lack of ceremony to carry the new mother into this new identity.
Yeah. Yeah. And culturally, honestly, I might say almost the opposite of ceremony. It's
Yeah.
in certain cases, I would say borders on abusive or combative. I don't know. Like there's at least some respect for pregnancy. And then it's postpartum. It's like, it's been 3 days, chop, chop. Like, come on.
Absolutely. I mean, and I feel like there's a lot of to do placed on the pregnancy and the birth and learning how to give birth and what you're going to do during the birth and all that. And there is, I feel a complete lack of respect for the afterwards. And the second pregnancy, actually, after a couple days, I'm like, oh yeah, I can like get back to everything. And then I got knocked on my butt and I was like, oh wait, I remember this is the time I'm supposed to rest and like connect with my baby and meditate and do all these like yummy, delicious things. This is the time where you have to do that. You don't have to bounce back. And yeah, you're right. It is abusive almost.
It was interesting because I chose to rest for a very long time. Probably like 8 months. I mostly rested. In truth, I didn't. Yeah. I went out a little bit, but not very much. We did have some house guests, so there was some activity around, so it wasn't totally secluded or anything like that. But I chose to rest. I chose to hold her. I chose to have her with me for almost every nap as soon as I could. Honestly, in the first weeks, because I couldn't really like recline, it was very hard to hold her as much. And because I got so dizzy. So once I actually could hold her, I was like, you know what? I'm going to hold her for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I don't care if my house is dirty. I really don't care if people judge me, which they did. And not everyone, but some. I'm like, I don't care if I'm not the one cooking. Like, if I feel up to it, we can do a little bit. Like we'll take little walks and stuff like that and be outside. But I was like, nope, I'm resting.
Yeah.
I'm resting and I'm holding her.
Yeah.
We're doing extended bonding. And because this is my first, I can do that. And so I really chose to do that. And it's funny because culturally it met with a lot of resistance. Like, your husband is cooking for you. You need to like get back to it. Like, you need to, why aren't you working? Why? You know, I'm like, I'm integrating in the way that feels possible to me right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, even now, me too, at like 8 months, I'm like, I still feel like I'm still integrating all these changes. And
yeah.
I
Well,
I just think like, but I think on the outside, people just expect you to go back to your normal life. And you're like, but I'm never going back to who I
right.
was before.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I think especially having babies so close together, I mean, technically the birth of the mother happens only once, but with the second birth, you become the mother of two. So you birth
Yeah.
again a new identity.
I do think that you birth a new identity every time. I mean, your whole family nervous system, I think, rearranges itself, and you are um, the center of that. And
Yeah.
you need to learn how to, stay grounded so that your family stays grounded, and you're this whole constellation.
Yeah. And I love that you say that because I think sometimes people forget that. But it's like, no, mothers are the center of the family constellation.
Yeah,
Like, they are what keeps it running. They are what
yeah,
keeps things grounded. Like, if mom is doing okay,
yeah,
everybody else will be doing better. And I
yeah.
think that too, it would behoove us culturally to pay a lot more attention to mom's well-being.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely. Yeah, and
it
so
really, really would.
I learned a great term, that the mamas are the chief energy officers
Yeah.
of our family units.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, actually a lot of what the Sacred Return program is about learning how to, like, center our energy and ground our energy and move more s move more slowly, be more
Mhm.
present, and not recover our bodies, but, like, be more into our bodies,
Mhm.
so that we are more grounded, happy mamas and can have happier
Yeah.
families.
Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, that's life-changing work.
Yeah.
That is life-changing work, and I love that.
I just
And
and, yeah, I mean, yeah, going back to how my
yeah.
postpartum was, like, all I could find was recovery programs, like how to get your body back. And I'm like,
Right.
I don't feel like I have anything I need to fix right now. I just want to learn how to be at home in my body and how to feel good in my body and how to be present and centered. And
Yeah.
so,
Well, and it is a whole new body, right?
yeah.
Like there's this whole pregnancy like, if you're talking organ wise and just being wise and priority wise, pregnancy already reorganizes everything.
Yeah.
And then in the course of either some hours to some days, you have the baby and then everything is reorganizing internally again. And then both pregnancy and postpartum, it's this massive hormonal reorganization, and especially postpartum, massive identity reorganization and
Yeah.
restructuring of your family
Yeah.
and who does what and what things look like. And
Yeah.
it's a lot of change. So any kind of groundedness, and it is a whole new body. You're like, I don't even recognize myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
So
think that when you go through all these changes in your brain and in your body and you don't have any integration pieces, um like community, any kind of like a program that I am creating, I think that people feel really lost in
mhm,
themselves. And I've seen that in a lot of my research. Like, I've researched a lot in the mom groups to see what people are talking about, and people are feeling lost in their bodies and lost in themselves, and are like, I hear a lot of women saying, I'm not quite sure who I am anymore.
mhm, yeah.
And then on the other side of that, I also see a lot of women saying, well, then you should be on medication.
Yeah.
And of course medication is appropriate in some ways, for some anxiety and depression, but I have thought a lot about what about that gray area? What about those of us
Mm-hmm.
that, are just feeling like a little anxious or a little depressed and we need support and we don't
Yeah.
know how to get that.
Well, and I think that there's other contributing factors
Oh, yeah.
as well, right? Like eh, like no diagnosis per se happens in a vacuum. Like there's contributing elements. It's like how supported is the
Yeah,
mother? How
absolutely.
nourished is the mother?
Mhm.
How like so yes, again, and um it's not to make light of postpartum depression or anything like that because I actually read recently or heard on a different podcast that suicide is one of the highest causes of death, the leading cause of death in postpartum moms in
Oh,
that
wow.
year, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's definitely not to take depression lightly because it can, I think, certainly be a problem. However, I don't think simply having a diagnosis, medicating a mother, putting her in a box, tying a bow on it, and putting her on a shelf because she makes you uncomfortable with what she's saying,
Which is pretty much our only path right now.
right? And again,
Mm.
it's in some cases definitely appropriate and definitely
Yeah, for sure.
life-saving. Um, and I think you can't, like, I personally think you have to look at the whole picture. Yes,
Yeah.
triage things, take care of it. If it's urgent, chop, chop. Yes, sooner the better. But then you have to look at, does she have community? Does she have support? Are the people in her life kind to her? Like, does she have depletion nutritionally?
Yeah,
And like it becomes a much bigger question,
yeah,
much bigger process.
absolutely.
But you had mentioned online, and you have a wonderful Instagram account,
No,
so
thank you.
people should go check that out. But you had mentioned that moms don't need more advice; they need support to center and ground. Can you share more about that? Because people
Um,
love to give new moms advice.
I would go back to a grounded and centered mom is a regulated mom, is a regulated, happy family. And that goes back to being the chief energy officers of our family. Um, and instead of, going on Reddit and searching around for answers and going on Google and searching around for answers, taking a few minutes to take a couple breaths can also do wonders for our family. And so, yeah, I actually posted this on Instagram, but when I would go to the gym and be carrying my 2 kids, everyone would go, "Oh, you have your hands full," and would wanna give me advice. And I'm like, "Why don't you ask me if I need a hand?"
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, yeah, but I would go back to, um we are searching around online for answers. We're using apps to track like breastfeeding and naps and all that. But I would suggest to put our phones away and learn how to hold ourselves and give ourselves support, feel the ground beneath our feet,
Mm-hmm.
and go back to simplicity.
Yeah. And I think we know more than what we've been led to believe.
Yeah.
And the more disconnected we are, the harder it is. And I think mothers do have this innate knowing and they have this deep, deep connection to their babies.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a cultural shift that needs to change. Me
Yeah.
personally, that's what I think, because I think that mother's intuition ought to be celebrated
Yeah.
and like the mother of the baby of this baby, you know what I mean? Like not yes, grandmother's intuition can be celebrated too. However, that's not the primary relationship we're talking about here. Um, and so I think a little bit less, this is how you need to do it, and a little bit more, how can I support you? Like, I love
Yeah,
you, I'm here for you, you're doing so good. Like, follow your instincts, like they're in you, follow your instincts.
absolutely. Yeah, and I would recommend that to any mom listening or any mom to be. Um, and yeah, like as an example, when I had my first baby, I was doing the apps to track the breastfeeding for the first 2 weeks. Like which side was it on? How long was it on? Press stop, press start. And it was causing me way more anxiety.
Mhm.
And once I let that go, I just learned how to tap into how much my baby needed and where they needed it from, and it was fine.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be fine. I would tell new moms that.
Yeah. And I think it's, everybody's different too. Like all children are different too, and apps don't
Yeah.
really take that into consideration.
No, and I even caught myself doing it again with my toddler. I've been going to AI, uh, having it pretend to be like a sleep coach to try to coach, uh, moving him into his own room and weaning him off of his bottle.
Mhm.
And it was kind of actually after a couple weeks just spinning me in circles, and I was like, "Why am I doing this?" And I stopped, and have just been following my intuition the last week, and guess what? Everything's been fine. And he's been sleeping better, and we've just been going with the flow. So,
Yeah. And I think sometimes too, it's okay to, I don't know how you feel about this, but to be okay to not know and
yes.
be like, I don't know. However, what I do know is everybody's okay, everybody's happy. Do I know the exact way to go forward? But let's take a few steps. Let's
Yeah.
pause. Let's see how it feels.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of keep going, or we can revise, or we can, like, and it's not to say you don't need to seek help sometimes, or you can't seek help, because sometimes that can be very supportive.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I think there's something about remembering our own power, like to be
Yeah.
in our power as
Yeah.
mothers.
And so going back to the program I'm creating,
Mhm.
it has a lot to do with tapping into your intuition
Yeah.
in your body, and it's a lot of guided imagery and your body moving to that guided imagery, which allows you to remember your intuition and who you are,
Mhm.
and I believe that I mean, I know it because 'cause I've lived it, but it translates into your whole life, so
Mhm. Yeah. So while we're on that, tell us more about your program.
sure. Um, it is a 6-week, I would say, movement it started as a movement and meditation course for new mamas to help them feel at home in their bodies, but as I've been talking to new moms, it's kind of become a little bigger, and it's been bigger integration practices to help them step into this new identity and feel at home in this new identity, and but really at home in your body and feeling good again,
Mhm.
and feeling alive again. I think a lot of us maybe get a little numb with all the overwhelm,
Mhm.
and so it's learning how to move through all these emotions in the body, learning how to integrate our birth experiences in the body, and, um, and yeah, it's also has an element of ceremony to it. So at the end of every week, we do a little ceremony that integrates all the practices that we learned, throughout the week. And then also, moms can come together in that time and support each
Mhm.
other. And I think that we're just so I mean, I feel like postpartum, we're just so isolated in our
Mhm.
little postpartum bubbles, and to just have that space for like-minded moms to come
Mhm.
together, move together, share,
Mhm.
is going to be a beautiful integration experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's so important about that is the creation of safe space.
Yeah.
Like safe space to be held, because it's not always safe in postpartum.
No,
people,
no.
so.
Yeah, especially the people, that are close to you, that you love, that you might say things that sometimes you just need to say things out loud or move in a way that allows these expressions to come through your body that is safe and, you know, is away from the people that are there in everyday life.
Yeah. In a world that rushes postpartum, that medicalizes pregnancy and postpartum, and in a culture that has, unfortunately, nearly completely forgotten the sacredness of this time, what does it look like when mothers are held? How does it change things? You've touched on it in a few places for sure, but maybe in a little bit more depth.
I would hope that postpartum stops feeling like an afterthought for people, and that everyone around you doesn't look at you like, oh, you just have to get back to where you were before. I would love for all of us to have community and support at home. But if we don't have that, I am hoping for more online spaces that can give that. And so that's why I'm creating this program.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about the medicalization, and we've talked about that a couple times. And I think that it doesn't look at the symptoms like you were talking about, like the lack of support, lack of community, lack of integration practices. And if there was just truly a deep way to move through postpartum that wasn't just like, oh, let's get our pelvic floor back. Let's, rebuild our muscles, but we have to also rebuild our identity. We have to really be gentle with ourselves. And I think that there needs to be a cultural shift to realize that we need to take that time to really hold ourselves through it, hold other people through it. And yeah, like going through all that organization on the inside, it takes a lot of care. And we
Mm-hmm.
and we need to respect that, and that's that sacred time, that sacred window. And I hope that more people will be able to see that and not just have postpartum be something to rush through. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's like one of the most important times in our culture. It's when we imprint with our babies. It's
Mm-hmm.
really a beautiful time. And I created some meditations in Sacred Return that is specifically for you to connect with your baby, that I practice, that like carried me through. And I'm really excited to share those kinds of things with people.
Mm-hmm.
When I was pregnant, I was like looking for kind of this spiritual help to move into motherhood. Like I kind of had a
Mm-hmm.
sense I kind of had a sense that this was going to be a big shift for me, and I really could not find much out there. There is a great resource I'd love to share with your audience. It's
Yeah.
called Beautiful, Bountiful, Blissful. Have you ever heard of
Okay.
that?
I have not. No.
Um, and it's a great book that has kind of like a lot of Kundalini energy
Mm-hmm.
practices to help you step into this new identity. But I just couldn't find a lot out there. And um, my husband actually wrote a bunch of meditations with the help of AI
Mm-hmm.
that he read to me during pregnancy. And it was to the baby, and like helping to guide the baby through every week that
Mm-hmm.
the baby was developing. And it was just like something I was looking for, that I wanted to like connect with my baby through
Mm-hmm.
meditation and visualization. And I don't really feel like there's a whole lot out there for that. And so in postpartum, I wanted like similar things. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I love how you mentioned too, like that us as mothers, it's it's up to us to one, change it for ourselves, and two, change it for those around us.
yeah.
So regardless of how we may have feel like we were treated or our experience may have been,
Yeah,
we get to be the change.
absolutely. Yeah.
We get to be the mother who is kind, the mother that holds others, and the mother who holds ourselves, even if no one held us.
Yeah. I definitely find myself like asking the new moms, like, what do you need? Please, I will do anything. Because it can be very lonely and so disorienting.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's very overwhelming, and it's kind of one thing to um, understand it conceptually. Like, there's not going to be much sleep. There's going to
Yeah.
be, I'm producing breast milk, which is a hugely metabolically expensive thing, and I'm healing my body,
Yes.
and I've gone through this marathon that was pregnancy and this double marathon that was birth, and then, so there's just a lot happening. It's like, yeah, I understand all of that, but it's something different to live it.
Yeah.
And so I think for people who have lived it, to just show up is such a beautiful thing, to hold the torch and, pass, like, light the torch so that more people are, alive. I like how you describe that, alive. Like, not just living, not just the benchmark of healthy means you both survived,
Right.
but like thriving, like fully alive.
Right.
Yeah. And that's yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. And it's a time that needs to be honored. And I feel like we have forgotten that
Yeah.
in our society. Like a
Yeah.
real like honoring and reverence for what you just went through. And we're just expected to rush back and go back to work and then
Yeah.
figure things out.
Yeah. So when that changes, we'll say that as a when, but from your perspective, as mothers rise, as mothers remember, as mothers hold themselves, as mothers hold their peers, the mothers that come after them, and kind of they claim this birthright to this sacred process, this sacred time, um, and claim the birthright that we are living in a sacred vessel, like this being that, like, it's amazing. What does that look like? Like, what does that feel like? What happens in the world?
The world becomes a better place. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna feel so cheesy saying that." No, but when you were just saying that, like, I could feel, like, a kind of, like, some tears welling up in me and, like, feel in my body. I mean, motherhood is the most sacred, experience that there is. Giving birth and giving life, I mean, that is what makes our world, and when we have grounded, cared for moms, we have a more grounded, cared for baby, and we have better people.
Yeah.
And I just, I hope for that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I hope for that too. And I think things are starting to change.
yeah.
There is awareness, and the awareness can be harsh at times of like having the veil ripped back and going, whoa. um, but I think that there is an awakening. I think that there is um, a, a revolution afoot, perhaps, but in a quiet way, in a non, um, like, not in the sense of like guns and armies and all of that, but like, in homes, in hearts, in relationships, in the family units, in communities like yours, in programs like yours. These are, in the very best way, they are revolutionary acts. And by revolutionary, just to change. They are acts to change, to no longer accept the status quo and say, nope, we're doing it differently.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah. And it breaks my heart to think of the mamas that are feeling so alone or just lost and not knowing what to do. And I know that I can be different. And
Yeah. It can be different. And honestly, it should be different.
yeah.
I think all of us have to take a stand and say no, like a good toddler. No. Like, I refuse
Yeah.
this, I reject this,
Yeah.
that this is all there is unacceptable.
Yeah. So to like mamas to be listening, I would say to make sure to protect that time. Like what can you do to really protect that time, to make it sacred for yourself? Like what kind of community can you build up for yourself before having your baby? And I feel like there's not a lot of guidance or thought given into that after part. And
At least not beyond like meal trains.
yeah,
People are
exactly.
like, meal trains, come mow someone's lawn. And these are very good, very practical things. And sometimes when you get practical assistance, it comes from or with people who then have things to say.
Yeah.
And opinions to share and criticism to lay on you and expectations. And you know what I mean? So it's really curating your community.
It's okay to accept help and have rules.
Yeah.
Like you can come over and do this, but do not tell me, do not say anything.
Like, this is not the time to comment on how my body looks, or comment that I'm still in pajama pants, or comment. Like, you come, you help, you say nice things to me, you encourage me, even if you're lying, that's okay.
Yeah.
And then you leave.
Yeah.
But yes.
You're reminding me of how my mom, like I was like, I think only 4 months postpartum, and she said something about Ozempic. And I was like,
oh my goodness. No.
I was like, excuse me. That's not supportive.
You're going to take that thought and that comment, you're going to put it in a drawer. You're going to close the drawer and you're going to bury it in the ocean.
So, yeah. I mean, I think it's important to have an attitude to not take what people say too seriously.
Yeah.
But also just to protect that space for ourselves, even if it means like protecting our mental space, like that comment that I got from my mom, like you just don't take it personally.
Yeah. And people have a lot to say. And I think postpartum can be a very sensitive time.
Yeah.
And you can feel very hypersensitive to criticism.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes people are also just talking.
Yeah.
So it's good for us to be mindful of what we say to other people. And I think when you're more grounded, like what you're saying, it's easier to say,
yeah,
thank you for your comment. I love you. And no.
Yeah.
I love you though, but that's a no.
Yeah. I think it's so important to be gentle with ourselves in that time. And that's something that I also learned when I was going through my whole sobriety journey, was to be gentle on myself because I'm relearning life.
Yeah.
And someone made that comment to me, a new mom. She was like, I feel like I'm relearning life. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like exactly like when I was getting sober. And when we are relearning life as a new identity, it is so important to just not be hard on ourselves and be gentle on ourselves. And so I have a lot of practices around that too, around like releasing self-judgment and being able to live that way. So
yeah. And probably especially important in postpartum where you don't want to do anything wrong.
Right.
You're like, I don't want to do anything wrong. I know perfection's not possible, but I can't do it wrong.
Yeah. Just the other day I said to my husband, I was like, oh my gosh, like there's just so much stress about like if I'm feeding him right or if he's drinking enough milk or not drinking enough milk. So it's one of the most stressful times of our lives for sure.
Yeah.
And we need support to get through that. and
Yeah.
we don't have a lot to
Yeah. And I
carry
think
us through.
again, what you said, to be gentle with ourselves and to be gentle with those around us,
Yeah.
is a really beautiful, beautiful place to start.
Yeah.
But how do people find your course if they want to, or your program if they want to join?
They can go to
Mm-hmm.
ritualmovementmama.com.
Okay.
There is a page there that gives more information about the course.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then can I put a link in the show notes?
Absolutely. Yes.
I also
I'll include the books that you mentioned as well,
okay.
and your Instagram or any other places people
Okay.
want to connect. And
And
I can include the website as well in the show notes.
okay. And I
Yeah.
also have a free meditation for mamas
Okay.
that they can find the link in the show notes.
Okay.
Well,
Perfect.
they can find it at ritualmovementmama.com/meditation.
Okay.
And it is a meditation for newly postpartum moms
Mm-hmm.
to get back into their bodies through gratitude and
Mm-hmm.
releasing self-judgment. And so we just go through and kind of thank ourselves for thank our bodies for what it has carried us through.
Yeah.
And that's really the first step to coming home to yourselves. And I don't think a lot of people do that right
Mm-hmm.
after birth. Like, just take a moment to say, hey, thank you for
Yeah.
for everything that you've done, even though I
Yeah.
might not be happy with how you look right now, or like I'm very tired right now, but just it's a moment of pause to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, I will be sure to get all the details arranged to make sure that's all in the show notes. So for everyone listening, you can find that in the show notes and definitely connect with Camille. And if you know a mom who's is it the first year mostly that you're working with people? First year
Yeah.
postpartum? Okay. If you know new moms first year postpartum, definitely connect them, because this is a beautiful movement that is afoot. And I'm really excited.
Good.
So thank you, Camille. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thank you to our beautiful listeners, and thank you for being here. And yeah, we will see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. If you are loving this podcast, please go ahead and subscribe and leave us a review. Both of these really help the show. As you go out into the world this week, know that we are sending you so much love and wishing you a wonderful and beautiful day. And we will see you back here soon.